You're listening to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge.
Hello and welcome to eLearnChat, our new podcast featuring prominent leaders, shakers and movers in the e-learning and training industry.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Rick Zanotti, and this is eLearnChat. Next to me today is Jean Franzblau. Hey, Jean, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody. Welcome.
Jean has a new dog who's somewhere around you, isn't he?
He's exactly to my left and down below. There he is.
And today the dog will no longer be a he. It's going to become an it pretty soon.
Oh, I hate that. Please.
Poor dog.
I hate that.
That's okay. We've had lots of dogs. It's better. Believe me, when they stop marking your house, it'll be better.
Okay, if you say so.
And today we've got a very special guest, but before we introduce him, let's introduce his company. So here we go. Sorry about that. Helps if I actually play the video.
Oh, I thought maybe it was playing and I wasn't seeing it, so I'm like, Jean, don't say anything, just...
E-learning development is a team sport. This is true if you work in a big organization or you're a department of one. But no matter who you are, Claro makes it easy to gather all the people and pieces you need, bring them together quickly, and create great learning experiences. Claro lives in the cloud, so your team can co-author content, share resources, or get feedback from reviewers. Anytime, any place, any platform. You never have to worry about who created what or where those pesky files have gotten to. There's no cumbersome email approval chains and no duplication of work. Everything is tracked and managed by Claro. You just need to focus on content. And creating that content is so simple and obvious, beginners soon become experts. Claro has themed templates to get you started quickly and a handy set of built-in tools to help you finish fast. So it's easy to make courses for e-learning or mobile delivery. If you know how to use PowerPoint, you've already got the skills to use Claro. Start creating media-rich learning experiences with Claro today. There's no software to download or install. Just log in and get going.
And without further ado, let me introduce you to the Vice President of Domino, Vice President of Learning Solutions, Chris Van Wingerden. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, Rick. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. So we just saw that little video from your website. We picked it up last night and did a quick intro. And, of course, this is a live show for anybody watching. We do record this, but that's why sometimes you press the wrong button and you just sit there going, why is the video not running? It's because I named both assets Claro, and unfortunately one was a video and one wasn't.
One was a photo.
Geez. Anyway, Chris, hey, how are you doing today?
Doing awesome up here in Eastern Ontario. It's a absolutely gorgeous February winter day.
That's great. That's great. Do you have snow on the ground?
A little bit. It's been a less than normal snow year for us, so makes the skiers a little bit unhappy, but makes the driving a lot better, that's for sure.
Well, that's great. Well, Chris, you guys have a great solution. It's basically an HTML5 authoring tool that if you know PowerPoint, you pretty much can work with Claro easily. And tell us a little bit about you. And I know you've been involved with e-learning for over a decade, and I think I said it before, you're the Vice President of Learning Solutions at Domino. And tell us a little bit about the company, a little bit about the product.
Sure. Well, the product itself has actually been in the marketplace since 2002, and Claro is the 6th generation of our tool. And through the previous 5 iterations of it, we referred to it as and sold it under the banner of the Domino LCMS, or the Domino Learning Content Management System. So it's been around for a bit, and as our team was looking at the 5 series and how it had evolved over time, and looking at where we wanted to take the product next, a couple of themes sort of emerged for us overall. One was that although it had become a very powerful tool with lots of things added from an LCMS type of perspective, it had also become a fairly technical tool to use. So our team's been focusing for the release that's become Claro very much on ease of use. And that's where that PowerPoint sort of analogy that you mentioned, Rick, comes in. That because of the growing strength of rapid e-learning in our space over the last 5 years, say in particular, we've seen people go from, our user base go from folks who are very technical, often with an IT background or a multimedia type background, moving towards folks who are coming now in knowing PowerPoint, but not necessarily being more of a multimedia tool expert than that. So we took the tool back from a design kind of mantra of saying if it takes 3 clicks to do it, it's too many. Go back and redo it, redesign it. Okay. And then a second mantra of trying to create a desktop tool experience, but in a web browser, because Claro is a web-based tool. So everything you're doing in Claro, you're doing through your browser. You're not installing anything on your hard drive. You're working through your browser. Which means that we can open up Claro more so than a desktop-type tool to a lot of opportunities for people to collaborate and work together. So those were a couple of the themes that, with the Claro product, which is, as I say, the 6.0 release of our tool. And then the second thing that emerged over the last couple of years was we all here at Domino became extremely smitten with these magical devices that we've been walking around with, first on our hips and then tucking that extra item in front of the laptop bag, so the iPhones and the iPads. And of course, for those of us in the e-learning space, that's created some issues because they're absolutely magical devices, but so many of the tools that we've been using traditionally have to rely on Flash as an output format. Right. Which, of course, those 2 devices in particular were sort of at the forefront of not allowing.
Yeah. Was that what made you guys go to HTML5?
Well, a lot of the tool was already outputting HTML-based content. Mm-hmm. So what we did was originally, so with the 5 series, what we were using was Flash for some of our things like navigation bars and some of that functionality. So it was a process of converting that over to ways to do stuff in HTML5 in particular. So we were quite well along the way in that model. It wasn't something that we had to dream up or create from scratch. Was more of a refinement, but nicely timed as well that we're moving in that direction, just as these mobile devices were gaining such prominence.
Well, also you guys kind of got into it and really have one of the few products that works in HTML5 right now, which is pretty good. I heard about you guys about 3 weeks ago. And I was immediately going, HTML5, that's interesting, and it's working. The fact that you can do your development online and then it generates. Now, I had a question for you. Do you generate is the HTML5 that you generate also portable to the desktop? Let's say not just by logging into your content management system, but does it deploy to the desktop or to different websites? Can you do that? Wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, well, you've got a couple of output options. Because it's an e-learning authoring tool, the most obvious one is to create a SCORM package, mm-hmm. Which you can plug into your LMS and any third-party LMS, no issues there. So you can do that for a formal learning process, having courses tracked for completion, test scores, etc. But one of the neat things, the nimbleness of HTML5 as a format is that we can also output a package that we would describe as a web-based package, which could be the same course or the same learning product that you've created, just minus the SCORM tracking layer, and therefore minus the need for it to be run through an LMS. So you can take a course that you might create, 20 topics for an hour-long training program and deploy that through the LMS, but also then repurpose portions of that content by reusing them very quickly in another course, another version of the course, maybe some shorter pieces. Publish that out in a matter of minutes as a web package and put that on a server somewhere that people could be using for performance support or just-in-time type reference lookup, those kinds of things. So really the HTML5 and the output options that we have with Claro support both formal and an informal approach, largely doing it with one level of effort, making it once and being able to use it in multiple ways.
Right. Now, Jean, is there any talk on the chat room right now?
There is. Lily asks a few things. Which SCORM versions are supported, and has it been tested on multiple LMSs? And Lily is very far away because I said good morning to her and she corrected me that in fact it is evening.
She's in Belgium.
That's right.
Okay.
Welcome back,
SCORM 2004, second, third, and fourth editions, as well as SCORM 1.2. So we have all of those SCORM bases covered. And we have clients using just about every major LMS offering that's out there, and I sometimes joke because of the SCORM standard and our experience in that standard, we haven't met an LMS yet that we can't make a friendly handshake with.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Oh, good question. Thanks, Lily.
Any other questions in the chat room, Gene?
That's it. That's it for now.
That's it. That's it. I think they're all trying to get their hands on what, HTML5, really? Wow.
One of the neat things, I mean, we've been using that phrase HTML5, but I do also like to point out that the package is an HTML5 package that's going to run great on an iPad, but it's also going to run equally well in IE9 or IE8 on your PC. But in addition, the package actually contains, I think the technical phrase that I heard someone say not long ago was graceful degradation, meaning it's got compensations in it for people who are stuck using IE6 or even IE7, for instance, as a browser. So those older browsers that many organizations still have to use in the desktop model, the same course package supports that very nicely as well.
Yeah, isn't it sad that a lot of organizations are still torturing people with IE6?
It's,
I know several.
I understand where it comes from. It's usually there's one legacy system, something maybe an HR or whatever that will never be upgraded or whatever. So.
Yep, it's really a shame. Those browsers.
Lily asks if it also works on an Android.
Oh, for sure. Yep. Yep, Android tablets, because of the HTML5 aspect of what we're doing, rather than publishing, say, to something that's specifically only for an iPad or an iPhone, Android tablets, as well as newer Blackberries, basically Blackberries operating systems 5 and up.
Great, thank you.
Now, when you folks publish external content to, let's say, another LMS, so you include the whole SCORM manifest, everything goes with it. That's great. Yeah,
and in fact, we only have a very minimal approach to any kind of a level of delivery. We've never really we don't offer a full LMS ourselves, so that means that we have to make sure that we're always able to work well with other people.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Now, you said you might be able to show us a little bit of how Claro works.
Oh, for sure. Yep, happy to.
Okay, so if you want to share your screen, that would be great. What are you going to show us today?
Well, let's just have a quick look around the actual Claro interface and give people a sense of it.
By the way, and for people who haven't heard of the product or haven't been to their website, there's also a YouTube channel called www.youtube.com/Domino, DOMINKNOW. And there's quite a few training videos there, and they're actually pretty well done, which show you the new features. And there's also nice stuff that you guys put in 6 that looks pretty interesting.
It's been a great time, and we're on a 4 to 6 week release cycle. So because the tool is web-based, it's really easy for us to roll out a new feature or add tweaks and refinements too, and very keeps us very nimble that way too.
That's great. That's great. Okay,
Lily was curious, and you can wait after the demo if you'd like. She was curious about the educational price of it. So just so you know, that question has been floated.
Our pricing is available right on the website. The pricing is very competitive with desktop tools. There's a pricing button when you get over to the website there. So all of that information is readily available right there on the website.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got you on screen right now. If you want to switch over, that'd be great.
Excellent. I am sharing my screen right now, Rick. Can you see it?
Oh, but you're sharing your other screen.
Oh.
I only see you on your Skype screen.
Oh.
So what you
all right.
I think what you have to do. No, it's not smart enough. Skype's not smart enough. I don't know if Skype may let you share the second screen.
Okay.
It's the joy of Skype.
So give me, no worries. Give me a second to
drag everything over, right?
A few things. Yeah, switch gears here quickly.
Well, while you're doing that, Lily mentioned that she saw, I guess it was Domino, on a LinkedIn discussion, mentioned in some discussion groups. And so, Lily, if you remember what they were chatting about or anything, we'd love to hear about that as we tap dance through the technical shift.
Yeah. Are you guys seeing?
Actually, let me switch over to. There we go. Yeah, we go. We can see you.
Oh, awesome.
So now we're seeing your Skype screen and everything.
Yeah, good. So, just some quick thoughts to share that I am currently working in my browser. I'm a Mac user on Firefox. And from an authoring perspective, Firefox, Google Chrome, Safari on the Mac, as well as Firefox and Chrome on the PC, and IE8 and IE9 are all suitable for authoring. We don't support IE7 or IE6 from an authoring perspective because there are a number of things that we do in Claro from an authoring perspective that those two browsers don't enable us to do very successfully. But again, the content that you're putting out is going to work great on an iPad as well as older browsers all the way back to IE6 in terms of what your learners are able to use. So I'm in the browser right now working from a demo site. The tool itself, we as I mentioned, we've really tried to make it intuitive and simple, and I'm only half tongue-in-cheek when I say that if you know how to do it in PowerPoint, you probably already know how to do it in Claro. So there's a tabbed ribbon interface across the top. The goal being that if someone comes out of PowerPoint and comes into Claro for the first time, we want to make sure that they feel that they're going to be confident and successful right away in the tool.
Now, Chris, I'm seeing part of your Skype screen. I see me on your Skype screen. I'm not sure if that's over. There you go. Okay.
Okay, but you can see Claro now?
It just,
do you see it?
It blanked out. I think when you moved it, it blanked out to a white screen just now.
Okay, what do you see now?
There it comes. There we go. Now I see your browser. And
Yay, now we can see
I
it.
think we can see it now.
All right.
Thank
I probably
you for saying
should have just
something,
turned
Rick.
off
I
my
was being
second
polite,
monitor
but I'm
before we
like,
ever
gosh,
even started. My apologies for the confusion.
No, it just layered
worries.
funny. But Skype does all sorts of funny things.
Yeah, and I had selected the other monitor too, so it just didn't seem to. A bit of a time shift, maybe. It didn't quite want to go there.
Oh, you know what it did? It probably
selected.
selected it and then hyperimposed or superimposed the Skype over it. It just. But we're here. We can see it.
Oh well, we've got it now. So yeah, so I'm in a browser, working live on the site, on the Claro site that I often play around in. That's hosted in our facility here in Ottawa. So a couple of thoughts. The interface is pretty simple and straightforward for working with Claro. So you really can come into Claro and use it as a rapid tool. There are built-in page layouts and also built-in interactive templates, things like timeline interactions, the classic pyramid, different tabbed interfaces. We have about 12 categories of different interactive templates, and there's a variation of between 6 and a dozen templates within each of those categories, just to give some variety, some different look and feel, and slightly different options, etc. And those are as simple as opening up the template and changing your text, changing your photos or anything that you want to add like that, and then simply saving it, and it's added very quickly as a page to your added as a page in your course in Claro. Working with media and things like that you want to bring in is really really quite simple, but it's also I want to say sneakily powerful. If I wanted to add an image to a page here, I could simply go and upload, browse to a location, upload an image, and then add it to my page. And when I do that, what's really kind of neat is it's actually added to the asset library for the course as a whole as well. The media library that's in the background, and this is sort of where the LCMS heritage of Claro kind of starts to show through a bit, means that we can track where an image is used in multiple courses and do a replace in one fell swoop. So,
and I noticed that you also have a work group option so that you could have multiple people.
Yeah, well, actually, any of the versions of Claro, because it's web-based, are a collaborative environment. So it's really quite easy if we want to have multiple people working in the same course at the same time. And what's kind of neat is that you can maybe see the green check marks here. I have this content checked out. But if I had it checked in and somebody else was able to work on it, when they're working on it, I can't make any changes, but I can actually preview it, live and in real time as they're working along. Just about any time I want to, I can preview the page in a number of different ways. I don't have to ever export a package out to look at it and see what it's going to look like for my end user. And along those lines as well, we have a really handy tool that we call the review notes. I can come to a course at any time, turn on review mode. I set the time frame. In this case, let's give these folks a week. I come over to the drop down in the corner here, and I just have to invite users into Claro. I just need an email. I mark them as reviewers, which means that they're not going to have any authoring privileges or editing privileges in Claro. they're going to get an email with a link in it, and when they come into that link, they're going to come into Claro. They're not going to see any of this authoring interface. They are, though, going to see a version of the course list, all of the things that they've been asked to review in Claro, which might be as simple as one course. And when they click that review button, the course will launch in a preview mode for them. And as they go through the course and click all the buttons on a page and see everything happening, there's a feedback panel here. And if they see an issue, maybe it's a typo, maybe it's a graphic issue or something like that, they can enter that in quickly, submit it. It's added to the list of feedback for this particular page. And in the background, Claro is keeping an eye on all of that and giving us a tracking process for that. So as an author, I can pull up the reviewer notes, see who has been entering notes, and as I'm finished fixing them, I can actually mark them as complete. Click the update button, and they get taken away from. They get taken out of the active list of things that are incomplete at this point. So I can export this list out as a Word doc at any time if I need to share it with my SMEs who are involved in the review process or anything like that too. So really effective way to leverage being web-based. It means that people aren't having to collate 3 emails from one person, a Word doc from someone else, and then a couple of PowerPoints from another person as well.
There's nothing more exciting than getting 28 Excel spreadsheets back from 28 users.
Yeah, and then trying to figure out how you're going to keep track of all of that.
And then trying to train the customer to actually aggregate it all into one.
Lily was agreeing that she hates mails, using email for collaboration. But she was curious if comments can be automatically linked to the slides, and are they as easy to track as we would hope?
Oh, for sure. Actually, everything that you're entering as that feedback process is actually a comment on a page. And when I'm working on a page, I don't have to pull up the full report. I can, just by double-clicking on the page here as I'm working, I can actually see the comments. And so I can see, this happens to be a note from Australia. I guess that was something we were doing in a demo, showing off a bit. But I can resolve those notes here. So if it was a typo or something, I can fix that and deal with that right from the page as I'm working on the page as well.
Great.
So they're very, very much tied exactly to the page where the comments are being entered.
Is the name of the reviewer visible right near their comment?
Yep, for sure. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you have a question, you know exactly who you need to go and get in touch with.
Terrific.
So
thanks.
we can see. Sorry, I'm clicking a little fast here.
Now, Chris, if you're a reviewer, but let's say not a developer, do you have any limit as to how many reviewers can see an option? In other words, because I know this is user-based licensing as far as development.
Right.
How about reviewers?
The licensing is built around authors and administrators, which is an interchangeable role.
Okay.
An administrator is someone who's a full author, but they can see all of the content and they can access all of the content. An author is someone who's more limited. They can make something new as an author, but if they're going to work on something that somebody else made, you have to give them permission.
Okay.
So there's a set of dual roles there that control who can access what content.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's what the licensing is built around. The reviewer role actually is completely free. It's unmonitored. We recognize that you're going to have 3 people on one project and 7 people on the next project, and so we don't. There's no licensing fee involved for them at all.
Sounds good.
Yeah. We also have built-in recording in Claro for narration, for video recording. So if we wanted to record from a webcam or a USB-connected video camera, we can do that. Built-in still image capture, so along the lines of a Snagit, making a screen cap there. Or built-in video screen recording. So if you need to do a software demonstration, you can do a walkthrough as a video file and do that right within Claro.
Okay.
We also have a built-in image editor. So if we need to modify an image, whether make a smaller version of it, rotate it around, crop it, maybe we don't want all of him. We can do those image edits right within Claro as well. And this is tied to the media library. So you're actually making a new image in the media library rather than overwriting something that might be used by other people. But it's right away available for you to reuse in other contexts as well, other pages.
Okay, and other people could find that too?
Yeah, somewhat based around your privileges. You have to have permission to find certain types of assets, so we can control what people are allowed to use and see as well in terms of that. Yeah.
Lily was mentioning about narration, and I'm just reading her chat here. She was saying she was thinking about audio editing possibilities and tweaking. Is that something that can happen within this world, audio editing?
The audio has a bit of a minimalist editing approach at the moment, and the same with the video. You can clip off, if you cleared your throat at the beginning or finished off at the end of your video, you caught yourself looking at down at your keyboard to turn the video off or the recording off or whatever. You can trim the ends at this point in time.
Okay.
We are working towards a fuller, but it won't ever be a complete recording studio within Claro, but adding more editing options as definitely part of the roadmap. Probably look for that Q2 of this year.
Okay, I'm one of the proponents. I'm actually a proponent that audio should be done in a good audio package, and then call it up, do your audio edits, and bring it back. Only because most people don't understand audio very well, and they'll keep editing something until they degrade it to no end, and they don't realize why they've degraded it.
Yeah, and with tools like Audacity, for instance, that are pretty easy and straightforward to use for edits and such. It's also, you don't have to record narration in Claro. You can bring it in as an MP3 file as well. So it's a balancing act. We try to provide tools that help people get jobs done quickly and easily without maybe introducing the complexity of some of the outside third-party tools.
Yep. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Anything else you want to show us?
Sure. Test questions. The full range of all of the normal test questions, are available within Claro. What's really kind of neat is, actually, I'll just take a second and switch courses to one that's a bit better set up to talk about test questions here. From an instructional design perspective, this is one of the places where Claro starts to move away from PowerPoint, for example. So we have topics within a course in Claro, and then we associate test questions directly with those topics. You're still building a test that someone's going to get at the end of a module or at the end of the course, whichever way you want to go there. But because we have the testing identified as basically banks of questions for each topic, we can support randomization of questions, etc. And the test questions in Claro are really quite flexible. They're very easy to input initially. There's just a panel on the side here, basically like working with a template. But once you've done that, you can bring in, you can go up to the Insert tab and add images, video files, audio files, anything you want to be able to make that a more realistic assessment question, for example. So
Lily was curious about drag and drop, and also if it was possible for partial scoring for questions.
So drag and drop, at this point, what we're doing is we have a test question type that uses pull-down menus for things like categorization and sequencing. Okay. We haven't brought drag and drop, although that's coming in, I think, the next build, actually, the next release at the end of March, I think, is the target for drag and drop test questions to be brought back forward. We used it's actually one of the last things that was in the old version of the tool. So prior to the 6 series that we've got, we were using Flash templates to do drag and drop. So it's the last sort of piece of that has that had to be rejigged in that way.
Excuse my sneeze. How about the partial scoring? She had that question as well.
Sure. If you had a multiple choice, for example, that had, say, it was 8 choices and 3 of the 8 were correct, and someone only picked 2 of the 3, they would get partial scoring on that. In that case, for that one question, they'd be basically getting 66.6% as their mathematical value for that question.
Yeah. That means they can partially fail.
That's true.
You can also partially succeed.
That's
Rick.
right.
Sure. One of the neat things we rolled out in January was an extended library of stock assets. So people characters, when you pick a person, they're available in business clothing, in casual, as well as medical attire. Some of them are scrubs, some of them are more lab coat oriented. And then when you pick a category of clothing, between 100 and 150 different poses, images, etc.
Oh, I like this one.
Yeah. Also available in 5 different sizes, so you don't have to do any cropping, just depending on how big you want to put someone in your course. So really great for scenario-based or simulation, soft skills type things. And that's part of the licensing for Claro, is access to the library of the people, as well as some supporting things like speech bubbles, a symbol library, and a small clip art library as well.
Now, Chris, I'm gathering as I'm looking at this that you can not only import, because you can import PowerPoint and it comes in as individual pages or slides in Claro. You can also build in Claro, correct?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, PowerPoint's a great way to get started. We actually take the PowerPoint completely apart and rebuild it as editable authoring pages in Claro, which when you publish out, they'll be HTML5 based content. So all of the text fields are fully editable in Claro moving forward. All of the images are on your page, and they're also tucked away in the media library right away.
Nice.
So it's a great way to start with something from an instructor led. But for sure, you can build courses completely from scratch, in Claro as well, just adding pages and doing anything you want to.
And you support all the transition types, everything like that.
Transition types are actually something, because of the where HTML5 is at. We're bringing those in shortly. We don't have those in place yet, and that's as I say, in part because of where HTML5 has been at in terms of some of the things that you've been able to do. But that kind of a thing is that kind of a thing's being brought back in.
Okay. Now
Lily has several questions. One of them is animation possible? She's also wanted to double check if those images that we looked at before, where the people were in a variety of different outfits, etc. That's included. I think that's what you did mention it. I wanted to double check that.
Sure.
And then also a library. Can you use external libraries and images like bitmap and vector? So lots of questions.
No kidding. So just, I guess, to come back to the people, the people are available. Each of the characters, and there's 36 characters. They come in business, sort of a business suit. They also come in casual, office casual, you might call that, as well as medical. So scrubs for some people, lab coats for other characters, depending on which character it is.
Nice.
So it's definitely lots of options there. In terms of media files, yep, you can bring in, of course, PNGs, JPEGs, those sorts of images as well that you might have in your own collections. With Claro, we've gotten a little bit firmer in terms of some of the media types that we will support on a page. We won't support a WAV file anymore as an audio file, and that's because we want to make sure that the content package you're going to output is going to run as successfully as possible, both on, say, a tablet as well as a PC browser. So some of those older media formats, like WAV files, and some of the older video files are great if they're running off of your desktop, but they're not so great for delivering over an internet connection, let alone a cell phone connection, etc.
So
what
the
kind
quality
of
control issue.
Yeah, what kind of video files do you support?
Sorry, video files?
Yeah, which ones do you support?
Right, so MP4, and we also allow people to bring in FLVs.
Okay.
FLVs, of course, we don't have the magic bullet to make those show up on an iPad, but because so many people do use Claro as an e-learning tool, not just for mobile, and Flash video is still a fairly internet. It's a very strong internet delivery format for video.
Right.
We do allow that to be brought in.
Okay.
So for video, it's MP4 and FLVs.
Okay, great.
Is animation possible?
So animation, and Rick was asking a bit ago about the the transitions on pages, etc. Animation is coming in one of the upcoming releases in the sense of being able to do timed events, say sequence to an audio track if you want to, bullet points or images to change in sync with the narration, those sorts of things, and other sort of transitional type elements. The same way you might work with PowerPoint, for instance, to do those kinds of on-screen events. That is coming in one of the upcoming builds. I'm hoping for that to come. If not in March, then in April. It's certainly something that we want to see brought in as quickly as possible.
Now, if someone created external HTML5 content, let's say on the Mac there's a tool called Hype, which generates HTML5. Can you bring that in? Could you import that as just raw HTML5 and then it would translate it?
At this point, we don't, because when the pages are in Claro and you're working on them, they're not yet HTML5. We compile the HTML5 on the publish sequence.
Got it.
And we haven't had a great market demand yet to be able to bring that forward. Our real focus has been trying to keep the tool as simple and easy to use as possible for people who are used to a lot of rapid tools that have traditionally used Flash, and then suddenly now they have to deal with people walking around with iPads, for example. So we're trying to stay within that segment right now in terms of the type of user that we feel most benefits from what we've done in Claro.
Okay.
Can you get an external library? Can you use an external library?
Yeah, in a couple of different ways. We can certainly, use things like videos that are on YouTube or Vimeo, for instance, or streaming video from a streaming server, and then also content that's just simply hosted somewhere else as a web page. And we can also, because of the LCMS sort of back end, that Claro is built on, we can do things to link, say, to other asset libraries that an organization might have as well.
Oh, this is interesting. Lily went to the YouTube site and she tells me that it looks like the channel may be closed. So there might be something going on unless I enter.
Well, there may be a typo. It's D.
Let me double check.
Yeah, it's youtube.com/DOMINKNOW.
Oh, there's an N in there.
That's what got me too. Yeah, without the N, you get all sorts of other places.
Okay, so let me re-enter that. DOMINKNOW.
Yep. And then you
Got
should
it.
see
All right,
I was
thank
there
you.
last night. It works fine.
All right.
Great. Yeah, that extra little N in there sometimes trips people up. So.
All right. Well, we got it figured out. That's why this is a great forum for us to figure these things out together.
Perfect.
YouTube.com/Domino. All right. Thank you. She'll try it again.
Excellent.
The one thing that she asked that we didn't say yet, which might be a bit of a backtrack, she says, no vector then? No SVG?
That's not really a common web format, really.
Yeah, it's less common. The files that are brought in, we can adjust it for a particular customer because of course we can control that if someone requires certain things. And SVG, as Rick notes, isn't as common for most people, especially folks who aren't necessarily roll up their sleeves, getting under the hood programming or multimedia experts, for instance.
All right. Well, thank you. That exhausts Lily's questions for now. But you never know what's coming.
Oh, the questions have been
great. Keep on your toes.
Nope, we love it. Great questions.
And she found the website, so thanks, Rick, for the correction.
Great. Yeah, I had the same. That N gets you every time.
Oh, wait a minute. She says, don't forget the name question. And I don't know what the name question is. I'm backtracking.
The name question.
Oh, dear. I don't remember a name question, Lily. Will you please retype it? What should I talk? Let's see. Oh, of course. So sorry, Lily. Because Lily speaks Dutch, she couldn't help but hear your last name and think there might be some interesting background of your last name. And so as I'm tracking back, Wingerd, she looked it up, means some kind of grapevine. It's like an old word for a grapevine. And she's wondering, kind of the background of your name. Bit curious about is it in fact a Dutch name?
It certainly is Dutch. My grandparents, actually on both sides, my maternal and paternal grandparents, emigrated to Canada in 1951. So Netherlands is definitely the home country for my extended family.
And does your name, is it connected to a vine?
Well, I've always understood it to be something similar or along those lines. I mean, technically, I'm the third generation of my family that's lived in North America, so my own Dutch isn't very strong. Most people on this side of the pond would pronounce my last name Van Wingerden, but my grandfather would always say Verwingerde. Kind of rolled off his tongue a bit differently. So.
Well, when I hear grapevine, what I hear also is wine. So perhaps you guys were had a winery.
Yep, I have no problems being associated with wine.
Excellent. My last name, sometime we're always trying to figure out what it means, and it might be that we were named after the town Drunkard. Because my last name is Franz Blau, so Franz is a name, and Blau is kind of a term that sometimes means you're slightly drunk.
Oh,
so we figured maybe it's Franz Blau was Franz the village drunk.
Oh, that's funny.
Good times.
Well, Chris, do we want to bring you back to
Sure thing.
to Skype in the real world?
Yep.
It was great to get a demo. It's so much, just seeing things and how they're used, it helps so much to get a sense of,
There you are.
of everything. So thank you.
And there is,
Yeah.
I believe, a free trial, correct?
For sure. Right on the website, www.domino.com. Don't forget that little N in the middle. Orange button in the
Okay.
upper right corner says free trial. Fill in the form, and we'll get folks set up.
In fact, here is the website one more time. So when you see that, you'll see that there is that. Oh, there it is, the free trial button right on the upper right.
Great. There it is.
Excellent.
Great.
Yeah, I like the approach you guys took, and I really like the LCMS kind of background it came from, because it does give you that power of asset management as well as just reusability.
Yep.
Sounds good. Now, are you going to be at any shows coming up soon?
Oh, for sure. We're at Learning Solutions in March, including a couple of different presentation slots that we're working with, and at the ASTD ICE, and that's in May. And then following that, we'll be at eLearn as well in June.
Are you guys coming out to DevLearn in November?
Yep, we've been at DevLearn 2 years running now, including this past DevLearn, and the Aria Hotel was a great location, and we're definitely coming back.
Yeah, I missed that one. I really wanted to go, but I wound up getting a little bit sick, and I went, didn't want to hit the smoke when I was feeling kind of sick, so I decided I probably wouldn't be too healthy. Well, that sounds good.
It was a great show, a great conference.
That's what I heard. It was really good.
Lily hopes to be at DevLearn, so perhaps you guys can say hello in person.
Most definitely.
And
Lily's more than welcome to also even reach out through the contact form on the website to say hi too. We can.
Oh, that'd be great.
And Lily, I believe, speaks Dutch as well, so she can actually really wow you with her Dutch.
And I'll have to get my mom to translate.
That's like me. My grandfather was German, and my grandmother was Hungarian. On my mom's side, I have no idea what language. I understand a tad of German, but not very much. And on Hungarian, nothing. It's just zero. So, and neither does my mom, so I guess that works okay. So, all right. Well, Chris, we really appreciate you coming on today and sharing a little bit of Claro. I know there's more to share, but in our half hour or 40 minutes, this has been good.
Well, thanks so much for having us.
Oh, we really appreciate it. And Jean, we will see you next week. And
soon.
Unfortunately, I forgot to check who the guest was next week. I think it's Dr. Alan Partridge from Adobe. So he'll be on. He's always fun. Anyway, everybody, and those in the chat room, thanks so much for being here. And if you're watching the video, please subscribe or leave comments. We'd love hearing what you have to say. And before we let go of Chris, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, contact form on the website, www.domino.com, or chris.van.wingerden@domino.com is my email if anyone wants to reach out directly.
That sounds great. All right, everyone, we will see you guys next week on eLearnChat. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.